Hello, BookTube. Okay, we're back. It turned out to be nothing. And we were talking about Man of the Hour, which is a new biography of Stephen Conant, who was a warrior scientist for most of the first half of the 20th century, became president of Harvard for a long time after that. And it's going to be tricky. It's written by his granddaughter, and it's written with clear and open sympathy, as you could probably tell from the title and the subtitle. Uh, and that's going to be tricky because this was a man who was on the wrong side of every ethical decision that ever came his way. And it's going to be impossible for a reviewer, me, uh, to avoid that in reviewing a biography that clearly wants me to love him. It's not possible to love somebody who worked really hard for years to uh, develop a program by which poison gas could be used on soldiers on the battlefield. It's not going to be possible to write a glowing review of a glowing biography of a man who worked really hard to develop the atomic bomb as a weapon for killing people. Those are the two of the worst ethical decisions of the 20th century. There's a small handful of people who were in a crucial fulcrum position to either make those decisions or not make those decisions, and he was one of them, and he made them wrong. And it's not like that's hindsight. There were plenty of people in his own time, in his own circles, who thought that it was monstrous. So I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about the review that I'm going to write. I can't not write a review. It's a major biography. It's the first one he's ever had. That's that repositions him for a new generation. So I'll just have to I'll have to figure out how I'm going to do it. But it's great to have the finished copy because I really did like the book, despite despite the fact that I was supposed to like the man and didn't. I don't. There's no possible way that a biography can burnish the things that he did wrong in his life. Anyway. So that's actually it for new books, despite the taunt of a doorbell ringing. It was not extra books. It was not mail. We had two books today, two new books. A thriller by a very good thriller writer, someone else. I'll be happy to read it next year, and a finished copy of a biography that I'm getting ready to review anyway. So that's it. But I wanted to supplement things, since that's not much, with some books I got at the Brattle Bookshop today here in Boston. The weather forecast is hinting that perhaps tomorrow it will be raining, and when it's raining, the bargain $1, $3, and $5 sale carts in the lot next door are covered up. They're gone. They're not there. So I made a point of going in today. I make a point of going in almost every day. And I got some books that I wanted to show you. The first two are Dune books. There's Heretics of Dune in one of these psychedelic 1970s paperbacks, and Chapter House Dune in the classic hardcover. And they are the last two in Frank Herbert's Dune series. The reason that they were on my mind is because I was just recently involved in a very fun informal read-along of Dune with a bunch of booktubers. And we were doing it on the Voxer that the kids like so much. And I was getting the hang of Voxer while I was doing it, figure out how to do it, when to do it, that sort of thing. I think I'm much better at it now than I was when I started, although I could be better. I should have been more attentive to that read-along. We did a read-along of Dune. Adam at Memento Mori was part of it, and he'd already read Dune once. There were a bunch of people in the read-along who hadn't read the book at all. And then it was me. I've read it many times. And reading it again with a bunch of people, some of whom haven't read it, was a lot of fun. More fun than I thought it would be. And that immediately made me want to go and read Dune Messiah, the second book in the series, which you might recall if you memorize all of my 1,000 videos. I recently found a nice hardcover, something very much like this, of Dune Messiah. So I did. I reread it, and Dune Messiah takes place about 20 years after the end of the events in Dune, and deals with all of the same characters who are in that book. In fact, provides the final fates of quite a few of them. And then the next book after that is Children of Dune, which takes place about 20 days after the end of Dune Messiah. They're basically the same book. And in my opinion, should have been. In my opinion, Dune Messiah could have been uh, stripped and sharpened into an opening chapter of Children of Dune, uh, rather than this odd, short, standalone, almost novella that has confused Frank Herbert fans ever since it first came out. It confuses me too. I even just having reread it, I'm still confused. Is it a successful novel or is it not? I honestly don't know. Although every time I read it, I appreciate it more. Every time I read it, I like it more. And then Children of Dune comes right back to the full epic majesty of Dune. And this is, keep in mind, this is ex cathedra for most Dune fans. Most Dune fans, especially the ones who like to talk a good game but have only read the first book, will confidently tell you over beer pong that the books get worse as they go along. I have almost never heard that opinion from someone who's actually read the books. Most people seem content to just parrot that. But even the people I've heard it from who have read them, I don't agree at all. Dune Messiah, yes, is an off tempo note. I don't understand why Herbert didn't take a stronger editorial hand with it one way or another, and I understand why it would throw people off their game. If it didn't exist and we just moved straight on to Children of Dune, I don't think anybody would say that the series gets worse as it goes along, because Children of Dune is magnificent. And I finished Dune Messiah, and I really liked it. And I immediately thought, well, okay, in for a penny, in for a pound. It's still the summertime, so go and find your copy of Children of Dune and reread that as well. You might as well if you're in the Dune frame of mind. And unbelievably, it turns out I don't own a copy of Children of Dune. I don't have the old ratty mass market with the Cape Cod beach stains all over it, and I don't have anything else. I don't have the where is it? These psychedelic weird artwork covers, trade paperbacks. They made one of these for Children of Dune. I thought, sure, I have it. I don't. I don't have a hardcover. I don't have a copy of Children of Dune. Insane. So I fumed about that, and then I said what I always say. I've said it on these videos many times, which is the Brattle Bookshop will provide. There's no reason for me to go nuts. There's no reason for me to go on a Libris or anything like that. If I wait a small amount of time, the Brattle will turn up a copy of Children of Dune. It's not like most used bookstores. It's got an extremely high turnover rate. So if you wait long enough, you'll see almost everything there. And really popular science fiction that's had multiple thousands of print runs, that you will see there. So rather than obsess about it, I moved straight on to the next book in the series, God Emperor of Dune, which is set 3,500 years after the end of Children of Dune. Not 35 years, not 100 years. 3,500 years after the end of Children of Dune. And those of you who are familiar with the Dune series will know what I'm talking about when I say one character does carry over from Children of Dune to God Emperor of Dune. Only one, but even so, I do believe that just off the top of my head, those of you who are really versed in science fiction or fantasy might be able to tell me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that the gap of time between Children of Dune and God Emperor of Dune is the largest gap of time between any two books in any science fiction series. So I reread God Emperor of Dune. It's my favorite of all of the Dune books, and just loved it to pieces. Just loved it to pieces. And so when I saw these two follow after it. Heretics of Dune takes place about 1,300 years after the end of God Emperor of Dune. And Chapter House Dune follows directly after the events of Heretics of Dune. And both books star the Bene Gesserit, the sisterhood of super nuns that are a steady presence throughout all the Dune books. These two last books really star them, the monstrous prescient tyrants and Kwisatz Haderachs and whatnot. All of these desert warrior leading Lawrence of Arabia type figures are gone, long gone. And all of the bad guys from the old Imperium days, emperors and Harkonnens and whatnot, are also long gone. So it follows a very natural, organic progression that the Bene Gesserit will now be our heroes no matter how ethically gray area or compromised or scheming they are. And at one point, uh, during the history, the prehistory of the Dune universe, uh, many groups of people scattered far outside the Imperium. And in these two books, the people are coming back from the scattering, and they've been changed by their time away in far distant planets over a millennium. And one group is a kind of scattering version of the Bene Gesserit, and they form the perfect villains for these two books. The perfect villain, where the Bene Gesserit are confronted by a dark mirror image of themselves. And I just love these books, just love them. So when I saw them both for dirt cheap, I got them. And then the second two books I want to show you, also from the Brattle, are also connected. These two are both Dune books, and these two are both connected as well. This was totally random. This is the way that the Brattle often shakes out, the odd Poisson diagrams of the Brattle. They're both biographies of Mary Tudor, so-called Bloody Mary, the daughter of King Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon, who ruled England and tried to wrestle it back to her mother's Catholicism and away from the new Protestant church that had been formed by Henry VIII and embraced by his son, Edward. And the reason that I grabbed both of them, I mean, they were dirt cheap, and I, looking at them, because my book collection here is in such a state of flux, I wasn't looking at them both. One's by David Lodes, one's by the great Carol Erickson. And looking at them both, I wasn't completely sure that I had either one of them. And they were so cheap that it doesn't matter. That's a nice thing about the Brattle dollar cards, is that you don't really have to think about what you're grabbing. And the reason that I got them both is because at Open Letters Monthly, the literary journal where I am the managing editor, I am currently doing A Year with the Tudors 2. A sequel to one of our most popular features, where years and years ago I did A Year with the Tudors, one new Tudor release every month on our main table of contents for the whole course of the year. It was a very popular feature, one of our most popular features. And so in 2017, Open Letters is 10 years old. It's our 10-year anniversary. So for the 10th year anniversary, I decided to celebrate by doing A Year with the Tudors 2. And my next one, the one that will be in our October issue, is all about the Smithfield martyrs. It's all about the persecution of Protestant, innocents and preachers and whatnot, by Edward and Mary, and a little bit by Henry, but mostly by Edward and Mary, and mostly by Mary. When I saw that, I've been reading that book. It's called The Burning Time, and it's quite good. It's quite meaty. And while I've been reading it, I've been thinking, well, you're definitely going to need to check up on how this is reflected in all of the Queen Mary biographies, because you're not just going to read it on its own. You're going to need to sound it off against other viewpoints, and especially Mary biographers, most of whom will obviously be taking a sympathetic tack. So when I saw these, I immediately thought, well, you're going to need them anyway. For $1 a piece, you're going to need them anyway to review that book. So I grabbed them. And I remember, of course, loving the Carol Erickson book. And I think, if I remember correctly, the David Lodes book is very, very good. Very, very dense with scholarship and source work, which is great. That's just what I want. So there you go. That is sort of a combined mail haul. You've got Brattle proceeds and also the measly pickings of the mail. So you have 2 Mary Tudor biographies and 2 Dune books. And then we've got our 2 books from the mail. Force of Nature by Jane Harper, the author of Dry, and Man of the Hour, about the warrior scientist. And that'll have to do as a kind of a halting 2-part mail haul for today. But I'll be back. Maybe the mail system will be better to me tomorrow. You never know. I'll hope. In the meantime, I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.